Story 1 Mom. So I can show her that her baby boy has become a grown adult man. Not really, I'm still a giant nerd. But I can finally buy her a Christmas present and a birthday present. Really nice ones. If not her, any of my friends who have committed suicide or died at a young age. They had so much radiance but only ever saw darkness in themselves and the world. They deserved better lives than what we were given. And I'm working hard to provide that for my family now. Edit. Good Lord, I didn't expect so much support and even the folks making jokes. Thank you all. To those who asked, I had 2 friends commit suicide in high school and 3 friends who have died at a young age. 2 from vehicle accidents and 1 from an illness. She would definitely have chuckled at the dark humor going on, and she would want me to as well. That being said, she was cremated. You are gonna need a lot of lotion if you really try something. I'm burning in hell for making that messed up joke. Again, thank you all. It's nice to smile and chuckle during a hard time of the year for me. Story 2 My daughter. I got to know her for just a few days before sudden infant death syndrome took her. I would really love to have known who she would have been as we approach what would have been her 15th birthday. Story 3. Other than the obvious family members, I would bring back my childhood cat. She passed about 17 years ago, but she remains my personal guardian angel. Even as someone who does not believe in an afterlife, I can somehow feel her protection. She loved me in a way I have never seen a cat love a person. She used to sleep on me at night, with her paws on either side of my neck, purring like an engine. Once she got a piece of glass stuck in her paw. She limped over to me, and without a hiss or any resistance, let me remove it. She trusted me completely. I will never forget returning from a 2-week vacation when I was a teenager. She was waiting on our garden wall, and the moment she saw me, she bolted toward me, meowing in a way I had never heard before. Despite her age, she climbed up my leg, put her paws on my shoulders, and frantically nuzzled and licked my face, purring louder than ever. In her eyes, I was her kitten. She had a rough start in life. My parents rescued her after hearing meows coming from a neighbor's empty apartment. The previous owner had moved out and left her behind. She was skin and bones, surviving only on water from a dripping tap. That was a year or 2 before I was born, and she lived until I was 22. I miss her every single day. I hope she somehow knows how much I loved her and that I still think of her. Story 4. For science, either George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Have them watch the news for a few days and see how it goes from there. Maybe get them on social media for added fun. Story 5 Mr. Rogers, obviously. I do not know how you pick anyone besides a beloved family member or him. If Christianity is not nonsense and there really is a second coming of Christ, it was very clearly Fred Rogers, who was the only person in my lifetime to love all of his neighbors as himself. I am an atheist, but God bless that man. Story 6. Sean Locke had the absolute best answer to this hypothetical question. Reanimate all the leaders of the Nazi Party. Story 7. My dad died of a massive heart attack when I was a junior in high school. I am married now with a daughter, and I am a teacher. I played college football. I just wish I could hang out with him again. Story 8. My dad got sick when I was 7 and passed away when I was 14. I have so many things I want to know about him. I never got to know him as a friend like I did with my mom as I became an adult. I want to know his favorite cocktail and song. I want to smoke a joint with him. I want to see him as a grandpa to my human children and my dog. I want to go to an Oakland Athletics game after tailgating in the parking lot. If I can bring my dad back, the Athletics are coming back too. Story 9. I just lost my father at age 91. He was a great dad and had a really good life. I lost my mother at 85 with dementia. She also had a full and wonderful life. I lost my brother at 59. That was his choice, and I fully understand and accept it, so we'll respect that. 25 years ago, I lost my wife. I'd love to give her a hug and tell her I love her one more time. Story 10. My cousin, who passed away 2 years ago at age 27, did so a few weeks before my senior year at high school was to start. She got into a car crash, was put in a coma, and died later the same day. Story 11. My dad. I have so many questions. and I've learned so much about him that makes me think we'd get along so well. He was also given a Superior Accomplishment Award for his significant contributions to what ended up being the James Webb Space Telescope, and he never got to see any of the photos that we've gotten from it. He really deserves to see those. He also wanted to know more about his dad's side of the family, and I've learned so much. I've been able to find a ton of cousins he had no idea about. Shout out to the genealogy website for being the Finnish hangout spot, apparently. Story 12. We are talking about their time? Or does someone just come back alive today? If it's their time, Lincoln should do Reconstruction right and dismantle the Southern Slave Society properly. If it's today, probably Steve Irwin. He died way too young. Story 13. If I'm excluding friends and family and bringing back a celebrity, I'm going with Michael Jackson. I was a mess when he died. He was kind of like my generation's Elvis. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson at 13. Story 14. That's too hard to say. I want to show my grandmother, grandfather, and uncle that I am now a young adult. I just got accepted into my dream college with a large merit scholarship, and I am figuring out my life. I want to tell them about my ever-growing love for the wilderness and my passion for music. I have changed so much in the past few years, and all of them were such loving, kind, and generous people. I just took out the quilt my grandmother made for me when I was born to put on my bed to feel closer to her. Story 15. My friend Matt. He died a few years ago from a heart condition. He was super in shape. He died instantly while walking his dog on a hiking trail. He had a wife and 3 boys. I miss you, Maddie, every day. Story 16. Good friend who died at 30. He was the wisest, most genuine person I have ever known and served as therapist and closest confidant to every single person in his life. We all so desperately need him back. Story 17. My best friend. He committed suicide in 2021. I miss him so much every single day. I don't think I'll ever have a pure and genuine guy friendship again the way I did with him. Story 18. My boyfriend for 14 years. 2 years na siyang wala and it feels like forever. Kung kaya ko lang ibigay yung ibang years na meron pa ko for him, I would. Story 19. My partner's granddad. They miss him a lot and have often wished I could have met him. I've got a couple of deceased grandparents, but I had my time with them, and I'd like to see my partner happy. Story 20. The man that was like a father to me. His anniversary is coming up in February, and his birthday just passed a few days ago. He died of complications of the lungs. There hasn't been a day I don't think about that man and how much I miss him. I would love to hug him, tell him how much I've missed him, and tell him everything I've accomplished in life. Story 21. My mom. She was an awesome, loving, caring, and understanding person. We still miss her, and if she were alive, she would love to meet my sister's kid. Story 22. I would have totally said Monty Aum, but my mom died in a fire last July. We didn't have much contact for the last 10 years, but it wasn't because of bad blood. Whatever sins she committed, she sure as hell paid for them when she went. Story 23. My best friend. She passed in November 2021 from an overdose, and I still think of her every day, wanting to call her when something funny happens. Life must continue without you. But whatever happens, Ashley, you will always be my best friend, and I will love you until the end of time. I can at least promise that much. Story 24. I've only lost one person in my life, really, my mom. She died out of the blue from a brain aneurysm just 2 days after graduating to be a teacher at 47. All that wasted effort and potential. Story 25. My buddy, who just passed last week in a car accident, would give anything to hear his dumb self tell me a story one more time and give me one of those bear hugs he gave in high school. Story 26. My daughter as she was before her brief but sudden illness. Today is the 6th anniversary of her funeral. She left her 14-month-old daughter and a family who are still heartbroken. Story 27. My dad died when he was 37 years old. I was just 11. I really needed a dad and really missed out on the experience of having a father. He was a great guy and too young to die. Story 28. Do they get restored to full health? If yes, my grandpa. He passed from cancer on his own terms, but if he could be brought back cancer-free, him in an instant. If no, Steve Irwin, and I am spawning him in an emergency room with lots of blood bags and a good team of doctors ready. Story 29. Alexander of Macedon. One of my greatest curiosities is how the legends of history would prosper in our modern age. Caesar, Napoleon, Cyrus, champions that defined their eras, the type of people that the world has simply become too big to contain. What would it be like to see such giants walk in our epoch of modernity? Story 30. My grandfather. I never met him, and he was the only grandparent alive when I was born. He passed a few months after my birth and only got to see me a few times as he was sick. I've always wanted a grandparent in my life, and I would love to hear his stories. My mom does not talk about him much as it still upsets her even 20 years later. Story 31. I'll save it for my parents. They are still both alive, and I'm still not ready to lose them. I love my parents even if I don't show it to them. Given the option, I'd rather die first than lose my parents. Story 32. My daughter's grandfather. She misses him dearly. He and I got along well too, but I know there's a darkness in her from losing him so young that nothing can fix. Story 33. The obvious answer is my dad or uncle, but if not family, then the only celebrity death that really affected me was Anthony Bourdain. Although it was suicide, I'd hope this fantasy revival we're talking about would clear away the demons in his head that brought him to that decision. Story 34. My late wife. Together as a couple for 49 years, she was the kindest, most generous person, as well as a loving wife and mother, who did not deserve to suffer and be taken by cancer. Being with her made me a better man and partner. Story 35. My sister-in-law. She was my best friend and always took care of me like a mother. I didn't even get to say goodbye or see her one last time. I hate COVID. Story 36. I won't use it for family members. Life is cruel oftentimes. Let them rest. I'll save the use for David Attenborough when that time comes. We can't do without nature shows and his voice. Story 37. Randy Macho Man Savage. Just to hear him burst out of his coffin and grave shouting, "Oh yeah, yes, I'm easily amused." Story 38. Either Nujabes, Jay Dilla, or DJ Rashad. All three were uniquely innovative in their respective genres. All three were lost just as they began to reach mainstream recognition. They had more to say, and I hate that I won't get to hear them. Story 39. My foster father left me on the side of the road in the Canadian winter at the start of 2020. I then went no contact and he shot himself 2 years later. I still need to punch that guy. Story 40. You all have great answers and it's cheesy, but it's got to be Jesus or God or whatever, right? That would change everything either way. Nuts. Story 41. My grandmother. The night before she died, I was sitting with her on the couch watching television. It was not an exciting moment, but it was our moment together. Not too long after, my dad came to pick me up. She looked at me and said, "I'll see you tomorrow." I hugged her and left. If I had known that would be the last time I would hear her voice or feel her touch, I would have talked to her more, hugged her a little longer. The hardest part now is that I do not remember what her voice sounded like. Story 42. My brother-in-law committed suicide early in October, and I sat with their kids for 4 hours the day after, trying to answer their questions and help them work through the grief. Preferably, I wouldn't just want to bring him back. I'd want to go back in time and stop him. His work found him passed out in a closet. Managed to wake him up. He stumbled on his words and just stood up and walked out the door. When they woke him up, they saw marks around his neck. He was found hanging a few hours later. I just wish they hadn't let him leave. Story 43. My dad. We lost him when I was a teenager, during the peak of my rebellious phase. How I wish he could see how much I've changed. Got married, had a child, and built a good life. Daddy. I miss you so much. Story 44. My friend Alex. She died when she was only 23. She was so intelligent, funny, and kind. She was getting her bachelor's in biochemistry when she died. One of the smartest people I have ever met. I have so many good memories with her, but not enough. I texted her on her birthday, and she never got back to me. It makes my heart heavy. Her funeral was beautiful though, and she sends me signs she's around all the time. Alex, I miss you. You are loved. I hope you're happy in the spirit world. Story 45. Probably my cat. She died a few months ago, and it still wrecks me. It was the hardest death I ever dealt with, and I lost my brother. She died younger than she deserved to. She was only 12, and she probably died in pain. She got sick and died from several infections. She deserves to be lying on my lap right now. Story 46. My friend Josh. I'm not sure what his illness was, but I saw him waste away in middle school. He was dead by 13. He never had a day of independence in his life and was never treated like just a normal kid by adults except my mom, and he worshipped her. He was smart and funny. He just wanted to live and knew he was dying his whole life. Knowing him was what formed part of a personal philosophy. I don't disrespect people by pitying them. I saw what pitying did to the good days he had. Dude was cool. He deserved to live. Story 47. Prophet Muhammad, so that he could admit to the world that he made the whole thing up for influence and control. Then he'd be tried at the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Story 48. My little brother. He passed away almost 10 years ago at 16 years old because someone left him to die instead of calling 911. He had a whole life ahead of him, and it's not fair he had that taken away. Story 49. My uncle. If that also includes being able to cure someone of their medical problems, I would cure his heart and weight problems. Just so he, his brothers, and parents can be happy and healthy again. Story 50. Honestly, my grandpa. I didn't know him as well as I would have liked when he died. But he was really intelligent and wise, and I wish I could sit down and have a conversation with him again.